Hi there, thanks for joining. Before we jump into the demo, I want to quickly walk through what you're about to see, so the flow is clear as we go. This example is focused on bidirectional HubSpot integration, showing how Nexadata keeps data aligned as it moves in and out of HubSpot. We start with sample deal data and company data, simple business data that exists outside of HubSpot. This represents the data teams already have and want to work with. Nexadata is used here as an AI copilot for transformation and mapping. This is where the business rules, relationships, and alignment are applied, based on the outcomes you want to achieve. Once the data is aligned, Nexadata makes it available directly in HubSpot. In this demo, it will be loaded to HubSpot deals. Teams now can work with consistent, trusted data inside the tools that they already use. And this doesn't stop once the data is in HubSpot. Changes made in HubSpot can be brought back out and realigned using Nexadata. Those updates can be enriched, adjusted, or remapped using the same logic without redefining rules or duplicating effort. Finally, the updated deals are written back into HubSpot. This is what makes the integration bidirectional. HubSpot can act as both a destination and as a source, while Nexadata keeps everything aligned. With that flow in mind, let's jump into the demo and walk through this step by step. Now that you've learned a bit about Nexadata, let's provide a demo. What you're looking at right now is the Nexadata home screen, and from here we can create connections to various applications, and once we have a connection, we can create data sets from those applications, and then we can add data sets to a workflow. Now, in advance of this demonstration, I've gone ahead and I've created some connections, and I have a live connection to HubSpot, as well as a live connection to the Nexadata Hub. And inside the Hub is where I store or uploaded these two CSV files, one for companies and one for deals. So now that we have the connections and data sets created, let's go ahead and create a workflow. Create a workflow, and we'll call this load HubSpot deals. Now, once we have the workflow created, let's add those data sets. And now we'll create a pipeline from those data sets. So I'll create a new pipeline. And we have two ways of building that pipeline. We can do it manually through what's called advanced mode, or we can use the AI copilot. Let's choose the AI copilot, and let's add those two data sets to this pipeline. Once those data sets have been added, we now have an area to put in our prompt for our natural language prompt. I'm going to go ahead and paste in the prompt because it's quite long, and we'll just walk through it quickly. So the first step here is to join companies and deals based upon the company ID, then perform some transformations by removing these columns, then remove these characters full dash from the deal ID, which you can actually see right here. Then we're going to insert a column called pipeline and put a static value customer lifecycle. And then we're going to create a mapping to designate Lighthouse International versus Lighthouse Domestic based upon the deal size. So that logic is stated here in natural language. And then finally, we're going to rename country to customer classification because now country has been mapped to new values. So based upon this prompt and based upon the input data, we're going to next generate the instructions. Now the instructions provides the ability for us to review and see if we agree with what the copilot wants to perform. So let's take a look here. So the first step here is it's going to join deals to companies based upon that common ID. It's then going to remove those columns that we've stipulated. It's then going to replace the values here in the but it's actually got something a little incorrect here. So actually, I don't agree with this plan. So let's actually go ahead and just jump right to the back here, and we're going to reset and try again. So this is actually a great time to actually see this. So we'll come here. I've just reset this, and I'm going to say generate those instructions again because I didn't agree with the plan. So let's go ahead and look at this again. So it's got the join correct. It's got the removal of those columns correct. It's now got the replacement correct here. So it's replacing full dash. That's exactly what I wanted. Sometimes it doesn't get it right. We all know that sometimes AI doesn't do exactly what we want, but now it is. And here we're inserting that new column called pipeline with that customer value lifecycle or customer lifecycle. Here it's creating that mapping group based upon that conditional logic. And you can see that conditional logic. And here it's renaming the country column to customer classification. So this plan now looks really good to me. I'm going to go ahead and approve and build that. So we're interactively seeing it's creating each one of those steps, and each step represents something that's doing to build the pipeline. And now that pipeline has been created. So what we're seeing here is just the raw starting point of that data. And over here, we have all the different steps in the pipeline. So in this first step here, we can see that it's actually joined now the company details, and we can see the company details have been added to these deals. We now remove those unnecessary columns. So I only want just company name and company ID, as well as the country, because I need it for the mapping group. We're removing the that full here. So I have my deal ID, which is my external deal ID. And then I'm inserting the pipeline customer lifecycle, so we can see that. We have now also the mapping group here, and we can see here that it's working correctly. So based upon the amount and the country, it's being mapped to Lighthouse International versus Lighthouse Domestic, based upon, again, the amount. And then we're renaming the last step here, renaming the country to customer classification. So this looks really good to me. So now I'm going to take this pipeline and I'm going to create an output. So I'm going to add an output, and we'll call that HubSpot deals. And the location of that will be HubSpot. Now, once we have that here, we can take each one of those columns in the pipeline, and we're going to map those to certain objects and properties. So at this point here, I'm going to choose, for example, deals. And you can see down here that deals gets added. And just to show you, I have company ID down here, and I'm going to specify companies. And that also gets added as well. Let's fill the rest of this out. So we'll go deals, because each one of these is related to deals. And company name, this is related to companies. Or actually, customer classification is also deals, and pipeline is companies. So here, now we tell it which property we want to use. So this is going to be an external ID, because I'm loading it from an external system, and I'll stipulate as a HubSpot alternate ID. This is going to be name, so deal name. This is going to be amount, have it right there. This is going to be stage, have it right there. This is going to be close date. And this is going to be external system ID, similarly. This is going to be an alternate ID. This is going to be name, so company name. This is going to be customer. Actually, I guess it is actually, sorry, it is companies. This is going to be customer classification. Sorry, I guess I'm could have sworn that is deals. Classification. Yeah, there's deal classification. All right. And then here is the last one is pipeline, like that. Okay. So this mapping looks really good to me. So we'll go ahead now, and actually also last thing here is just simply stipulate that. We don't really need that because we don't have any dates, but it needs to be filled out. And we'll go ahead now and save that. So now that we have that output, we're ready to execute. So before I execute, I do want to show you inside HubSpot that we actually have no deals. So again, no deals. And if we go to companies, we have just 2 companies right here. Okay. So let's go ahead into the workflow execution. We'll go ahead and execute this workflow. And now I'm manually executing this, but of course I could schedule this. And it's loading about 1,000 records. Okay, that was successful. Let's go back now into HubSpot and we'll refresh this. And just like that, we now have companies being loaded in here. And accordingly, we also have deals with the company association. So we have that all been loaded up directly from CSV. You've already seen this diagram earlier in the demo. At this point, we've loaded deal and company data, transformed it, and mapped it with Nexadata, and written it into HubSpot as deals. Now we'll focus on what happens next. Once the deals are in HubSpot, we can reverse that direction. Those same deals are brought back out of HubSpot so they can be transformed in Nexadata. And finally, the updated deals are written back to HubSpot, and HubSpot reflects the changes immediately with everything staying aligned. This is what makes the integration bidirectional. HubSpot can act as both a destination and as a source, while Nexadata keeps the data aligned as it changes. If you'd like to see this flow in action, be sure to watch the follow-on demo video. In that walkthrough, I'll show you how Nexadata bidirectionally exchanges data with HubSpot step by step. Thanks for watching and stay tuned for what's next.